Hey, what's up everyone? This is Dr. Shea from Align Life Wellness, and today I'm going to show you how to drastically improve, if not completely eradicate, carpal tunnel syndrome in just 4 simple steps. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, first step in eliminating or improving at the minimum your carpal tunnel syndrome symptoms is all about being able to change the posture of your upper back and your neck, and looking at also the posture of your wrist, especially when you're doing your activities in front of your workspace. So today I want to really dive in on understanding why that happens. So first things first, let's talk about the anatomy. So your carpal tunnel lives right here in the wrist. And the tunnel is made up of a few bones in the wrist as well as a retinaculum, which is a soft tissue structure that goes over the top of it. And when you look at this from an angle, it would almost be like that you could look right through, almost like you were driving through a tunnel on the freeway. And the nerve, called the median nerve, that runs right down in through here and helps to innervate and connect up, they call this your thenar, this meaty part of your thumb. That is the part that oftentimes is compressed when we talk about carpal tunnel syndrome. So symptoms may be numbness and tingling, it may be cramping in this area of your hand. And oftentimes this is all about what we do as individuals. So to start that path, we have to think about the nerve and where it comes from. So the nerves that exit right from the base of the neck, those are actually the ones that come across the tops of the shoulders, down the arms, into the hands and fingers. So the first thing that we want to look at is we want to look at our upper back and neck position, especially when we're doing our activities of daily living, especially this workspace setup. So what we often see for people is we have a position where we are in a forward flexed posture. This position puts a tremendous amount of stress here at the base of the neck and shuts down the energy moving across the shoulder, through the elbow, into the wrist, and into this thenar area. So the first thing we want to do is we want to address our desk setup. So oftentimes what we'll do is we'll ask laptop users to be able to bring up their desk setup to be able to keep themselves neutral and not fall into a forward flex position. This can be accomplished by using something very simple like old manuals that you aren't using anymore. You could use a shoebox. You could even use old thick books or like textbooks from back in school. Go ahead and prop up your device in a good position. That'll help you to keep an upright place. You can also do this if you don't have a laptop, if you have a PC. You're just going to take the monitor and get it elevated. Ideally, you'd put that up on the wall, and then in an ideal version, you'd be able to have the keyboard in a flat place here on your desk. So that would be the first thing you would want to work on, is getting your upper back and your neck set up correct. So if you've done that and your symptoms still persist, then what I would suggest that you do is then begin taking a look at where you have your keyboard in relation to your wrist. So ideally what we want to do is we want to have the wrist joint as flat and neutral as possible. What this does, you can think about that tunnel that we talked about a second ago. What that does is it makes the tunnel as wide as possible so that nerve can knife right through there and get into the hand without causing compression. We also want to think about where we have our bodies in relationship to our keyboard. What I encourage you to do is bring your body close to the keyboard. That way we're keeping this very, very flat and that hole wide open. So in that environment, the nerve moves passing through there, makes it very easy for you to get that signal from brain through the neck, across the elbow, into the hand and wrist. So that would be first setup, first thing you can do that's very easy to be able to get your body in the right place. All right, the second action step that I would encourage you to do if you have carpal tunnel syndrome is I would love for you to go and get a checkup at your local chiropractor. Chiropractors are fantastic at being able to identify where nerve stress is taking place and alleviate it. So this is done through the use of what's called a chiropractic adjustment. An adjustment is how chiropractors identify areas of nerve stress because the spine or a extremity joint has become misaligned. Misalignment in a spinal joint or in a region of the spine or in a regional misalignment in an extremity will cause stress and shut down energy moving into certain parts of the body. So we commonly see when bad ergonomics take place, or if we've had trauma that's happened to the structure of the spine, especially when we're talking about the base of the neck and the upper back, then we'll see that there'll be problems potentially all the way down the line. They call those radicular symptoms. So sometimes we'll go to even the full lengths of having carpal tunnel surgery where they actually cut the retinaculum here to open up that tunnel, try to get it open, and lo and behold, the symptoms don't go away. Why is that? Well, it's because the compression of the nerve root didn't take place at the wrist. It was actually happening up the stream. So the first place to start in my mind is let's make sure that the neck is clear so that we don't have any stress on the nerves there because of misalignment of the spine. So I'd look at that. The second thing I would also look at is potentially having your wrist or elbow adjusted. Remember, if we're trying to clear out this whole pathway of the nerve all the way down the line, we want to make sure that the typical entrapment sites are open. So a chiropractor who's skilled in extremity adjusting can go in and work at the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist to be able to clear up that entire path. So that would be your second action step, is go and get a chiropractic checkup. All right, action step number 3 is going to be all about stretching out the soft tissues of the forearm and wrist. Oftentimes when we do a lot of writing or typing, these wrist musculature can get really, really tight. Also, if you're doing a lot of gripping, manual labor, and so forth, the wrist musculature gets really tight. Again, that makes that hole smaller, and now we get more stress, now we get more symptoms. So first thing I do is I would go ahead and put my palms together almost like I'm saying a prayer. I'm gonna go ahead, keep the base of my hands, like the palms of my hands together. I'm gonna go ahead and just bring my forearms down as far as I can. What that's gonna do is it's gonna put stress all the way along through here and into the wrist joint. So stretching out these tissues. You can also reverse this around, keeping your hands together, bringing your palms up this way. This is another way of being able to activate those tissues, again, all along the forearm. Another thing that I've done for people and recommended for them is to have them at their desk, because oftentimes that's where they experience their worst symptoms, especially if they've been hammering out a bunch of work on the keyboard, is they'll go ahead, put their hand down against the table. They'll put their other hand blocking that. They're going to go ahead, and normally I would stand up, guys, but you can kind of get a sense of how this would be. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my body away from this, which is going to stretch out all these muscles along my forearm. You can maybe see it even better, like the opposite direction. So I'm going to keep my hand down. I'm going to block my hand with this, and I'm going to move this way. Again, I'm stretching all of these tissues along here into the wrist, right where that retinaculum would be. Again, opening up those structures. So go ahead, work on stretching out those tissues. This is another way that you can get some stress off of those areas of your body. All right, guys, last action step, we're going to talk a little bit about self-massage. So sometimes it's not enough to just get adjusted. It's not enough to do an ergonomic assessment, and it's not enough to go ahead and do some stretching and so forth. We actively need to go in and physically work on some of these tissues to break up some of the myofascial issues that are taking place up the stream here in the forearm above the wrist joint. So what I'd like you guys to do is go ahead and get your own thumb, get your forearm, and I want you to be moving your wrist forward and backward. And as I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on this, they call it the palmar surface of my forearm, and I'm going to be pressing in this direction while I'm taking my wrist from a flex position to an open position, or what we call an extended position. So I'm going to be working in this plane, trying to really dive in and dig out some of these tissues. Now, especially when you get up into this, almost this elbow area, you're oftentimes going to feel a lot of soreness and some very tender regions. And this is because this is where all the contractile portion of the muscle group is all these guys right in here, and they connect up right at the elbow joint. So when you open and close these joints and these muscles activating and going from its shortened position to its lengthened position, you're really going to get some activation here. So if I'm on the top side of my wrist, like in through here, like with my palm down, I'm going to start from an extended position and go to flexion. If I'm on the inside surface, I'm going to start from a flex position. I'm going to go the opposite direction into extension. So just work on this. Ultimately, what I'm asking you to do is just go in and dig. Find those areas that are painful and sore. Spend time in them, work on them, dig them out. Those are areas that are oftentimes adhesions that are built up, that are causing stress to those nerves and shutting down, again, energy to that forearm and wrist. So I hope all these action steps work, guys. Implement these for a period of time. Get into your chiropractor, and I hope that you're back on track as soon as possible. If you've liked our video, please make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.